Welcome in! Today we're going to tackle something relatively easy, so let's get right into it. We have our new build that we're working on, and one of the first things you want to do when you build a world is to make sure that if somebody falls off the edge, well, they can get back. And by default, that is not the case. So if we, well, world's not running, let's turn on simulation. And we jump off the world, oh no, we're dead! So that's our goal. We're going to fix that. And we're going to take this at a fair pace. So the first thing we're going to do is create a script for this respawn point. So this is our world spawn point. So I'm going to rename this and call it world spawn point. And this world spawn point is going to have a script on it. And we'll go ahead and create a new script, which we'll call the world respawn underscore entity and attach. And so the idea is that when a player falls off the world, we need to respawn them. If you're following along with the series, I'd encourage you to pause, think about how you might approach this based off everything we've already done. I think we might have covered this somewhere in the early days, but not like maybe completely, and at least not in a standalone video like this, hence I'm making it now. But yeah, see if you can solve that. And if you've got your solution, now we're going to go and implement it. All right, editing script, that will open up our VS Code. And here inside of VS Code, we've got our default script, as you're getting familiar with. I like to delete these HZ dots. That is a personal preference. You are welcome to your own opinion. But for me, I don't like them. So I go with explicit importing like this by using control period. Now that we've got this set up the way that I like it, we don't need any properties on the properties panel because the respawn point is this script is running on the respawn point, so this.entity is the respawn point. We have start. We don't need pre-start because we're not connecting anything. What we need to do is have a loop, something that's going to continuously check if there are any players below the world. And we can start this loop in the start method by using async dot set interval. That's weird. Async dot. Oh, it's this dot async. For some reason, it didn't click into place when I clicked enter, or at least maybe I didn't click enter. This dot async dot set interval. There we go. And then parentheses. Now we need to draw our arrow function. The function we're going to call on that interval is going to be inside those curly braces, and then the comma is going to allow us to tell it how much time we want to take in milliseconds. And we're going to run this every 2,000 milliseconds. So if you jump off at the wrong time, it might take up to 2 seconds to get respawned, but that means we don't have to run this loop very frequently, which is nice. So back in the curly braces, we're going to call the local loop, parentheses to call it, semicolons because I like semicolons, control save, and now this loop is running every 2 seconds. Now what we need to do in this loop is get all the players in the world. This is something that I need to use this more often, I'm not going to lie. I just don't do it very frequently, but this is pretty sweet. You can type constant all players equals, and then I believe it's this dot world dot get players, gets all players currently in the world, not including the server player, and then parentheses. And so if we hover over get players, we can see that it's going to return an array of players. So all players is therefore an array of players. We can then go through each of those players and say all players dot, to go through each one we'll use for each, then parentheses, we're going to have a player value. If we wanted, we could use the index as well, but we are not going to be using that, so no comma index for us. We can then arrow function. Here's what function we're going to run for each of these players. I add a semicolon because I like them. Press enter so we can write it right here. And then what we want to do is say constant position. We'll just use POS for position. I'm not supposed to say const. For whatever reason, when I record with my OBS, it started lagging my VS Code. I don't know why. I'm going to have to look into that. Constant position equals player dot position dot get. And now that we have the player's position, we can say if, parentheses, that position dot y value is less than 0. So if you're using the grid as your base level, 0 would be a good value to use. And then curly braces. And then we can say if the player's y value is less than 0, we want to say this dot entity dot as parentheses respawn. I think it's called a spawn point gizmo now that I think about it. Spawn point gizmo, there it is. And then dot teleport player, and then parentheses player. So that's going to teleport the player to this spawn point gizmo if they fall below a y value of 0. You can adjust this y value to be whatever you want. You can also put a property on the properties panel here. That's another option. So if I was making this a script to give away, I'd put it on the properties panel so that you could easily edit it. And with that, we are done. That's the entire script. So like I said, relatively easy. Now let's just go ahead and prove that it works. It's already finished compiling. The script is attached. We'll stop the world, start the world back up, right click, preview from the edge, and we walk off the edge. 1, 2, and we're respawned. Perfect. There you have it. That is how the world respawn works. Not bad. Okie dokie. If you have any other questions about World Respawn, let us know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!